असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Lead me from the unreal to the real. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me from death to immortality. Chandogya Upanishad. The next one, Taittiriya Upanishad. May we all be protected. May we all be nourished. May we work together with great energy. May our intellect be sharpened. May our study be effective. Let there be no animosity amongst us. Peace, peace, peace. We offer our humble salutations and beseech in the Lord to give us this divine knowledge and bless us in this life and lead us to the path of salvation. We are on the 12th of April 2020, Sunday. The Hindu Panchang goes as Sharvari Nama Samvatsara Uttarayana, meaning we are now moving northwards for the next few more months. Vasanta Rutu is the season, Chaitra Masa is the month, Krishna Paksha, now we are moving from the full moon towards the new moon, and we are on the 5th day, that is Panchami. Discourse number 5. Yesterday we learnt what was the state of Arjuna. Completely shattered, tormenting, in tears, shivering. Why? Delusion. Not able to understand how to move forward. Emotionally he was wrecked. Had he known the true facts of life, he would not have come to this situation. And when you get into such a situation, automatically what immediately shadows is shoka, that is pain and grief. My friends, the universal problem is also the same thing. We don't understand things in the right perspective. Our questions are also of the same kind. Who am I? Am I this perishing body? Am I this transmigrating soul? Or am I something else? What should I do in life? Despite having everything, why do I not feel fulfilled? Why am I so restless and unhappy? These are the common questions which does occur to our minds. And to overcome these kind of fears, tensions, sorrows, we do join a laughing club or go on a vacation or things like that. We change jobs. See, these are all temporary reliefs. One has to understand what is your true self and what is the crux of the whole creation. Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara. Like we as the Jiva, Jagat is the world and Ishvara. What is the fine combination and link between these three? So today we are going to learn what is our true self. Exactly, Bhagavad Gita also, where Arjuna is now in this scenario, is the chapter 1 Vishada Yoga, meaning Arjuna's grief. That chapter is over, and now we come to the path of self-knowledge. Self meaning you. As I told you in the beginning, we're only going to talk about you. All along in your life, we have only been seeing the world, objects, persons. We only know what's there, secular language, what's happening in the world. But what's happening within you, we don't think. And even if we try to understand a bit, we try to jump into conclusions and take temporary measures by getting some kind of an addiction to an object or to a person, and we overcome the situation. But that's not a permanent change. So taking this forward, now we need to know, like, how do we get this knowledge and what this knowledge is all about. So now let's start from where we left Arjuna yesterday. So seeing in this horrified state, Sanjay is explaining to Dhritarashtra, Arjuna is in this kind of a situation. His eyes are filled with tears, agitated, and he's completely in sorrow. Then Lord just briefly speaks now. He says, Arjuna, what is this nonsense, infatuation within you at this odd hour? Do you know what a kind of a situation we are in? 11 battalions and 7 battalions. We are, everybody has blew their conch. The war has begun, and now you're talking something else. It will bring shame to you. You, a man of glory and fame, imagine what will be your reputation. It will not definitely bring you heaven. And you are talking unmanliness, which doesn't suit your personality. Shake off this faint-heartedness. Stand up, Arjuna, he says. Then again, Arjuna, he cries the same thing. He says, what do I do? On the other hand, I have my teacher who has taught me each and everything what I know today, Dronacharya. And Bhishma, although he is my Pitamaha, but he is no less than a father to me, because I lost my father at a very young age. And what do I do if I win this world? How will I be able to even live peacefully, having destroyed and killed my Pitamaha and my teacher? So the same thing, he says all these words, and then finally he has gained control, because but God has said 2 verses, right? So he gains some confidence there, and he then says, this is the sorry, 7th verse of the chapter 2. I'll just read this verse. I'll be reading only important verses. कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यश्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वं प्रपन्नम्. The word shadimam tvam prapannam. Shishyasteham. Shishyaste meaning now I am your student. So far we had a brother-in-law relationship. You were my friend. You were a buddy to me. Forget that. I am now surrendering to you, and you are my guru. You are my teacher. I am your disciple. I take refuge in you. Complete surrender. Now see, this is a turning point, a major twist in the entire war of Mahabharata. Dhritarashtra is smiling within that Arjuna has lost his guts and things are going to be good for him. He's within and within, he's smiling. And this kind of a twist happens there. Now Sanjay is telling, "O king, Arjuna has said this to Lord Krishna." And here at this point, although that surrender has come, and still there is a kind of jitteriness in Arjuna's mind. But that's when God has to really give a strong punch now. He's saying, he has accepted me as his guru, and is asking the right advice from me, and he says, now I need to speak. So the actual teachings of Lord Krishna, they start from the 11th verse of the 2nd chapter. And to what extent? The 11th verse onwards, he straight dives into the highest knowledge. He does not try to talk from a lower level and take it higher. No. He straight gives him a bang of self-knowledge. Understand your true nature. He, being the Lord of the world, could have somehow convinced Arjuna and said, okay, let's get over with this battle. And he could have got it through. But his point was, or as a Lord of the world, he could have even changed the entire scenario where there was no war also. But his point was that the Kauravas, who were in those days like they were the king of the world, it was not about a small country or a province. They were like the kings of the world. And when a king of the world with so much of adharma, who had crossed all the limits, God says, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, means whenever there is a fall in dharma, I will take an incarnation to uphold dharma, to hold dharma. So he had nothing else to do, no via media, no shortcuts. What he had to do is he had to kill all of them and create an altogether new world which was worth living. So here, as Lord Krishna is gearing up to give this knowledge, let's understand some other aspects which could be of understanding and interest to us. Firstly, if you see, Arjuna's surrender was so great to a point that he had kept nothing in his mind. He was ready to take all what the Lord was going to give him. So that means what? It is complete surrender. Like there were two stone slabs which were somewhere deep in the mountains, must have lived there for thousands of years. One fine day, a contractor comes and he takes both the stones, picks them up from there, along with several other stones, but these two stones are buddies. And he brings it to a place and they drop them there. And there they see that a construction is happening. Now, one artisan, he comes and he talks to the stone. He says, look, I'm going to now chisel you. He says, no, don't. I don't want to take those kind of pains. So then he talks to the other stone. And the other stone, with all that surrender bhava, that feeling, he says, okay, I surrender to you. Whatever you want to do, make best use of me, and I'm fine with that. Although those two were very close friends, one says, I don't want any chiseling on my body, I don't want pain, but the other one surrenders. Now when this surrender happens, eventually this stone becomes the main statue of that temple over there, and the other stone, which was saying, I don't want to take any hard hits on my body, that is just laid in front of the temple, where people walk over it, they stamp it, they rub their feet, and they go and to the statue, they pray with all devotion and come out. So in life, our surrender has to be to that extent. If something bad is happening in your life, we don't know the macro picture. We just know a wee bit of our whole life, because our life is not just this life. It's millions and millions of lives. We're going to talk about it later. In this scenario, a step backwards to take a plunge sometimes is of great benefit. And since we do not know this game plan of the Lord, what we can best do is just surrender to Him. Oh Lord, you give me whatever hardships, whatever troubles you want to. I only beseech and pray to you that you give me the courage also along with it. That's it. See, these are what we need to develop in ourselves. That is the point why I'm talking all this. Fine qualities. Now, we will call them as flags. We have to make these as flags in our entire study, and we need to focus on this. Once we develop these qualities, then automatically the results will come. You will see yourself transforming, gradually transforming. And to quote another example of surrender, you all know about the flute, where Sri Krishna, every day in his garden, whenever he used to go into the Vrindavan, he was friendly with the cows, with the gopis, with the animals, with the birds, and with the trees. So one day he wants to make a flute. He asks a bamboo tree, can I do this? Initially some disagree, but eventually one bamboo tree agrees. He says, it's going to pain you a lot. The bamboo tree says, yes, oh my Lord, you do whatever you want with me. I have surrendered. And there finally he makes it hollow and then holes upon it. And see, today it's a beautiful flute where Lord Krishna is all the time having it. And not only that the Gopikas are envious about the flute, but even Radha also was envious about the flute. She was the closest to Lord Krishna. Now, how did that happen? These are examples to show that a surrender has to take place. We want everything good without pain. That's against the law of nature. That's not going to happen. So, with this, we have to learn that surrender. That's That's really, really good for us. Now, after this surrender happens, Sanjay is getting an inkling in his mind. Will our king change his mind? Will our king change his mind? Even now he knows that Arjuna has surrendered, and with the Lord of the world, the universe on his side, and he is Maharati, I think it's the right time to quit. But Dhritarashtra, he was selfish, and there was no surrender from his end at all. His mind was completely blank, blindfolded. As he was blind, his mind was also blind. So this is another aspect we should learn, that in any situation you might have taken a decision. It is not going right. If you get a chance, change your decision. Don't stick to egos. In the first place, think, why did you do all this to come so far? Now do something and make it work for the better. But we don't see that change in Dhritarashtra. Now there the Lord comes, and Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. There he talks the first sentence, and from here we move forward. Ashochananvashocastvam pragnavadamscha bhashase gatasunagatasumscha nanushocanti panditaah. We need to mark these words. Nanushocanti panditaah means yasya pandayati panditaah. The person who has got wisdom, he is known as a panditaah. And a pandita by nature, who is wise, nanushocanti, he will never grieve in life. And then he tries to explain, and he says, you were speaking like as though you are a learned person, and why are you grieving? You should not grieve. That means you do not have the right knowledge. So he sets a base there. So now I'm going to give you that knowledge. You look at yourself. If you feel that something is disturbing you, then you don't have the right knowledge. You need to do more of sadhana. That's the continuous barometer you can have in your life from today onwards. Now that you are getting this knowledge, there will be many more other exercises which we need to do to improve our self-control and improve the strength of ourself, where on doing all that, the situation which you had faced earlier, and if it had given you an X amount of agony or fear or anxiety and sorrow, that should slowly start reducing. I'm talking out of my personal experience, so it's not a bookish knowledge. So if it is not, then increase your counts on whatever you are doing for getting stronger. That will help you a lot. So here we have by default settings covered with ignorance. That Lord himself says, with the assistance of my power Maya, I have created. You all do not know your true self. And when a jiva's punya, that is the good deeds, they fructify, that is when I give them this knowledge and I allow them to rise in life. So what we have to do is very simple. Take this knowledge, go to settings and change the default settings. whatever is there. Because what can drive ignorance? Knowledge can drive ignorance. As darkness drives away, as light drives away darkness, in the same way, ignorance is driven by knowledge. Now, okay, you have started getting this knowledge, which means your software is downloading now of this knowledge into your default setting. And that means you have to be in a Wi-Fi zone or an internet zone for it to continuously download. I'm just giving you a metaphor and simile over here. Means you have to be in the range of this knowledge, isn't it? You just listen to one lecture and then that's it, I got this, and that's not going to work. Till the entire software is downloaded into yourself and the default setting is done, till then you have to be in this frame of knowledge. Then you will be able to move forward the way you have desired. Okay. So now, here primarily Lord Krishna, he talks of as I said, the highest knowledge, where he says, see, in fact, there was no time where you or me or the kings were not present. We are all ancient creatures. That being the case, if these people are going to die, then why are you grieving? Because in any which case, we were there yesterday, we are here today, and we are also going to be there tomorrow. We are going to take rebirths again. So that's one of the points he says, you don't have to grieve. And then in the next verse he says, just as in boyhood, youth and old age, they're all attributed to this body, isn't it? When the boyhood died, you became a youth. So on becoming a youth, your boyhood died. And on you becoming a middle-aged, your youth died. And when you become an old person, your middle age also will die. So at every stage, there is a death in the body within yourself. You never grieve for that. So when this body is not in a situation to do anything or perform anything or live to its expectations as a jiva, it definitely wants to take a new body. Why are you grieving for that? Allow it. So this is the kind of statements he starts making. So now what I'll do is, these are all loaded statements. As you move ahead, they are much more loaded. To make you all understand, since I know what was the difficulty in understanding these things, I'll give you some background of certain theories, concepts, anomalies, where you will be able to understand these shlokas better, which will then really make sense. Okay? Now we'll talk about briefly, what is this body made of? First, now we say, I am a body-mind complex. If you ask, if somebody asks you, who are you? You'll say all the details of your Aadhaar card, right? And what is in your mind? I am so-and-so person. I have a mental frame of so-and-so, and this is my personality and myself. Wait. Now you say, I am a person with this body, and you claim that this body is yours. Now let's basically take the scientific numbers of what a body is, and then you will be able to understand what we are doing. Your body in numbers is roughly about 37 lakh crore cells, which is 37 trillion cells. 37 lakh crores. And there are about 200 different types of cells in our body. What are the 200 different types? I will give you briefly the very important types. About 100 billion skin cells are there. Only skin cells. And 100 billion neurons are there only in the brain. About 40,000 to 60,000 thoughts, they cross our mind every day. 60 million, that is 6 crores sensory receptors in our entire body. About 12.7 lakh crore retinal cells. Eyes are able to distinguish 1 crore different colors, that is 10 million. 1 crore different colors, that is the capacity of an eye. We have about 1,000 olfactory receptors, which nose allows us to distinguish those many number of smells. 6 liters of blood, 4,200 crore blood vessels, 30 lakh crores red blood cells, 23,040 breaths every day, about 1,15,200 heartbeats per day, 640 muscles and 360 joints, 1 lakh hair follicles with a fall of about 80 to 100 every day. The body produces about 800 ml of sweat every day, 206 bones in adults and 300 in children. Now, this is the extreme, magnificent creation in this universe, a human body. And what have we done to do this, to get this kind of a body? We, other than being receptive to the instincts we have, I don't think we are doing anything else. So we should first and foremost understand that this body is not mine. It has been given by somebody, and that default setting is, with that ignorance, you have occupied this particular body. A complete encroachment. There can't be a bigger thief than us. And we are claiming that this is my body, this is my body. So these are the wrong things which we have understood, which we need to start changing our perception. So now what, after this, I will take you tomorrow to the 3 kinds of bodies we have. Like we have a gross body, we have a subtle body, and we have a causal body. And what are these 3 individually? And what happens to a jiva? Now we are all jivatma, a jiva. We have, as we are born, we have a death on a particular point of time. And then there is a transmigration of this soul into another body. And what exactly transmigrates? And how we are eligible to get another body? And we'll also talk of some logic as to how do you say that there is a transmigration. So there are various methods we can argue on that, and we should be convinced. See, Vedanta, as I said, there should not be doubt on anything. So at every point we should clear our doubts and move forward. So we'll get to understand all these aspects, and then we'll move forward to the next verses. Okay, can we take for questions, please? You all can type, or I'll switch on the question answer. Okay. Okay. If anybody has a question, you all can press on the question mark, yeah, and then you can ask a question. Okay. So we'll end the session here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. O the Supreme Lord, we are so blessed and fortunate that you have chosen so very few to get this knowledge. Please give us the right wisdom, courage, and understanding to make this knowledge a reality in our lives. Om Tat Sat. Our humble salutations to the entire Guru Parampara. And thank you all, friends, for being a part of this wonderful journey. Hari Om, everybody. See you all tomorrow.